All right, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you everyone for joining us and welcome to day 2 of Google Cloud Next. I'm Nikhil Gaekwad. I lead product management for data sharing in BigQuery. Joining me today is Roopak Gupta, who's the Chief Technology Officer of a very esteemed partner, Habu. In this session, we'll talk about how you can use data clean rooms to share data securely and in a privacy-centric way. Before I dive into clean rooms, I want to take an opportunity to recognize some of the trends and also opportunities that we're seeing within the whole data ecosystem and data sharing space. There is no doubt that data is the driving force for innovation and growth for organizations. For many years, we've seen customers leverage their internal data and operational data to generate insights. But what we're seeing more recently is that more and more organizations are sharing data and combining data with external resources to generate new insights. For example, retailers are working with media platforms to learn about their customer preferences. We also see that manufacturers are working with suppliers to optimize their supply chain. So there's a lot of use cases where leveraging external data leads to higher levels of innovation. There are many studies that show that as well. And when we actually looked at how Google Cloud customers that use BigQuery share data, we saw that there are thousands of organizations sharing over 350 petabytes of data across organizational boundaries per week. That is incredible. And we've seen this number grow by almost 40% since last November. One of the reasons that this number is growing is because of a new service that we announced and launched last year in GA, which is Analytics Hub. For those that don't know, Analytics Hub is a service, a feature and part of BigQuery, which is our data exchange and data sharing platform that allows data providers to publish their data and make it available, and data subscribers to discover and find third-party data sources and use that for their analysis. In fact, in just 1 year, we've seen hundreds of organizations use Analytics Hub, and a lot of these data providers have brought their data sets into BigQuery and made it available for customers. So we thank you for all the partners that brought your data to BigQuery and made it available for many data analysts to find reliable data sources and valuable data and use it within their analysis. Despite the growth in data sharing, one of the things that is on top of mind for many organizations is privacy and compliance. Now more than ever, your customers understand or are aware of how their data is being used. And they expect to have transparency on how that data is being used for any analysis or anything that's been shared. And at the same time, we've seen governments across the world implement and enforce privacy restrictions and regulations. You see GDPR and CCPA are examples of where there's more scrutiny towards how data can be shared. And of course, if you do share it without abiding by those rules, there are a lot of hefty fines you need to face. And particularly for those that are working in the ad tech and media business, we see that the traditional ways of individual and device identifiers are also going away. So these companies are looking for new ways to get the same level of insights that they used to previously with a new technology or platform. That's where data clean rooms come into picture. So earlier this year, we announced data clean rooms, and the goal with data clean rooms was to address some of the challenges that we've seen with privacy and compliance when it comes to sharing data. With data clean rooms and BigQuery data clean rooms, our goal is to enable customers to create a secure collaboration environment where they can share, combine, and analyze data without compromising on privacy. What does this really mean for you? So if you are a media publisher, you can build a clean room with your advertisers to improve your advertising. If you are a financial institution and you want to improve your fraud detection, you can build a clean room with some of the other institutions and share data in a privacy and secure way. And also, if you're in healthcare, hospitals and pharmaceuticals can come together and share data in a clean room to identify how treatments are being used with various patients. And the great thing about BigQuery clean rooms is that you can do all this without having to move or copy your data. So I mentioned before, we announced BigQuery clean rooms earlier this year. And I have a very special announcement. We're actually launching BigQuery data clean rooms into public preview today. So now you can go into your BigQuery console and go create your clean room. And let me actually dive into some of the capabilities that we're launching. So the first thing that we're doing is that we want to make it easy for you to create and deploy clean rooms for your use cases. So starting off, we have a seamless UI and workflow in BigQuery where you can orchestrate a clean room. You can create a clean room environment, which is secure, invite your partners to collaborate with you within the clean room, and also set permissions on who can contribute data and who can subscribe to it. We realize that when you're working with clean rooms, it's usually a multi-party collaboration. So we don't have any restrictions on how many parties you can invite to a clean room and how many tables or data sets you can join. So we call that end-way collaboration. We also see that not all of your partners that you invite to a clean room might be part of Google Cloud. And you might have partners that are sitting on some of our friends on the other side for different cloud providers. So we have integrations with BigQuery Omni that allow you to federate and connect to data that is not in Google Cloud as well. And lastly, any data that's shared within the clean room cannot be copied or egressed. So we have data egress restrictions in place. So if you make your data available in the clean room, none of the subscribers that are running queries against it can copy or remove the underlying data. And everything that you see here can be done programmatically through APIs. So if you're a partner, which you'll hear from very soon, you can build on top of BigQuery data clean rooms, or if you want to do this at scale for multiple use cases, you can use the APIs. Okay, so now you know how to create and deploy clean rooms. The next step is for a data contributor, you need to make sure that any data that's shared in a clean room has the right type of protections in place to make sure there's no sensitive information being shared, which is why we have analysis rules. Analysis rules essentially make it easier for you to determine as a data contributor how data can be analyzed and what are the restrictions that you're putting in place for someone that's running a query against this data in a clean room. So we're starting off with a core analysis rule, which is aggregation. So any data that you've shared in a clean room, you can create an aggregation privacy policy that essentially provides you the ability to select a privacy unit column and a threshold, so there's a minimum number of distinct entities when you're running a query against this data and making it available. We also realize there's a lot of other use cases as well for clean rooms. So on our roadmap, we have overlap analysis. So this is really useful, again, if you're doing retargeting for audiences or more the core use cases where you're trying to compare the overlap between two different data sets. So you'll have overlap restrictions. You'll also have the ability to use more advanced techniques like differential privacy, which is the key for anonymizing your data. You also have restrictions where you can prevent someone from joining to a certain column that's being shared in a clean room for a table. So all these great functionalities are built into BigQuery data clean rooms. So you can use SQL and also some of the workflows directly in the UI to configure it. All right, so now you can create a clean room, deploy it. As a data contributor, you can make sure that you have the right protections in place when you make your data available. So the next step is for you to monitor this. So we heard from many customers that it's important for someone that's making data available within a clean room that they can track who's using the data and also monitor the usage. So BigQuery Data Cleanrooms is built on top of Analytics Hub. So you get subscriptions and some of the built-in functionality where you can see who's subscribing to your cleanroom, and you can revoke access at any time. And you can also use usage metrics, which gives you information about what types of queries are being run against this data. So you'll find information on which column is being queried frequently and how customers are actually using that information. All right, so now you can create your clean rooms, you can set analysis rules, and you can track and monitor this. Often, a lot of customers come to us and say, great, this is useful for my use case, but what about Google data? Well, if you don't know, we actually have a clean room that we launched back in 2017 for Google Ads and Google campaign events. And this is called Ads Data Hub. In fact, Google was the first company to bring to market a data cleanroom solution with Ads Data Hub for marketers. We recognize that many of you might be leveraging that to get insights, and what you would like to do is also use Ads Data Hub in conjunction with the clean rooms that you're creating and using in BigQuery. So which is why we are going to integrate and connect with Ads Data Hub directly in BigQuery. So what we have coming up as part of our GA is that you'll be able to connect to Ads Data Hub, have your first-party data within BigQuery, and run queries directly in the BigQuery console against Google campaign data. All right, so we talked about how you can use BigQuery data cleanrooms to create and deploy, set analysis rules, and you got a little bit of glimpse of how you can track usage and also what's coming up in our roadmap. And I've used the word BigQuery a few times, and those of you that are not familiar with BigQuery, I want to give you a little bit of insight into why we chose to build data cleanrooms on top of the BigQuery platform. One of the unique things of how BigQuery is built is its architecture. It separates out storage and compute. And this is really important as someone that is creating a clean room and deploying this, because as someone who's contributing data, the only cost that you would incur when you make data available in the clean room is storage. And for someone that is running analysis or running queries against data in a clean room, the only costs that you would incur are the queries. And BigQuery gives you the ability to separate those two things out. So again, you can scale, and the whole point is that you're not moving the data from where it's in place. Also, BigQuery has a lot of native integrations. We start with, I haven't used the word AI since about 12 minutes into the presentation, but we know it's important for not only for you to be able to create analysis and queries, but also build models on top of data that you're sharing. So BigQuery has built-in BigQuery ML, where you can build and operationalize models directly in SQL. So it's easy for you to analyze your data and build models on top of it and share it out to your analysts. At the same time, we realize that a lot of the end users that are consuming insights about data that's made available in the clean room are often looking at reporting. They're not coming into BigQuery and running SQL, which is why BigQuery makes it easy for you to integrate with many of the other BI platforms, such as Looker, for you to be able to visualize some of the insights that you're getting out of a clean room. So once you create and deploy your clean rooms, set your analysis rules, run queries, you can build reporting that's very rich for your end users and business users so they can visualize that information. Again, they don't have to use queries or run any analysis in BigQuery. They can see everything directly in the BI reporting tool. So not only are you getting access to all these rich capabilities in BigQuery, you essentially have access to the entire Google's data and AI suite. So BigQuery, as you probably saw in some of the earlier sessions, has integrations with Vertex AI. And we're doing a lot of work to make sure that developers and data engineers that are working across these different products have seamless integrations. And again, with BigQuery data cleanrooms, you'll be able to leverage these capabilities directly in BigQuery, again, without having to move your data out or needing any other new infrastructure or another platform. So everything is built in and it's native. All right, so you learned a little bit about how BigQuery data cleanrooms work and some of its capabilities. Let me give you a good example of how customers are leveraging BigQuery cleanrooms and what a typical architecture might look like for you. So imagine that you are a retailer that's collaborating with a CPG. And this is very common. You can also think about a media publisher collaborating with an advertiser. So a retailer has information on some of the sales transactions, POS data. They have information on who visited the store, et cetera. Whereas a CPG has information on the campaigns that they've run for their brand or product for these customers. Typically, a CPG would like to know, what is the ROI that they're getting for the campaigns that they're running with this particular retailer, and how many conversions have they had. So what they would do is they would agree to collaborate in a clean room environment. So they're sharing data in a secure collaboration environment within the clean room. And the process for them to do that within BigQuery is as follows. So the first thing you would do is go into Analytics Hub. Similar to how you would create secure data exchanges, you go create a clean room. So in this case, imagine the retailer is creating a retail media clean room. The next step, because it's the retailer that's making and creating this clean room, is for the retailer to make their data available. So in their BigQuery project, they would essentially combine all the source data or the tables that they want to make available into a view and essentially prepare the view to make available inside the clean room. Once you have your view configured, the next step is for you to apply your analysis rules. So think about aggregation, differential privacy, overlap, which I talked about. You would enforce those analysis rules on this view, and then you would make this view available in the clean room as a listing. Again, throughout this whole process, you're not copying or moving the data. You're just making the data available in the clean room for someone to come in and subscribe and run analysis against. So the data stays in place. So once you've published this into a clean room, now this is ready for the CPG or who is running the analysis for them to subscribe to this clean room and run their analysis. So what a CPG would do is come in their own BigQuery project and subscribe to the clean room. What this will do is create what we call a linked data set in their project. This linked data set, again, is not a copy. It's essentially a pointer back to the shared data. In this case, you have all the restrictions that the data contributor or the retailer has set for the transactions data they're making available. Once you do this, of course, the CPG would have their own data that they have for the campaigns and customers that they're targeting. So what they would do is essentially combine that data with the subscribed data from the retailer, run a query against this data, and what they would see in the results set is the combination of data that have been combined, both from the retailer and the CPG. So in this whole process, no one has moved their data from their project. It stays in place. What the retailer has done is that they've made their data available with privacy protections. These protections are enforced at the time that there are queries that are being run. And again, the result set is made available to whoever is running the query, in this case, the CPG, with the privacy protections in place. So that's pretty much the end-to-end of a typical use case of how you would use BigQuery clean rooms in a retailer and CPG context. You can also imagine, in this case, the CPG can also share data back into this clean room, and the retailer can subscribe to that data and run their analysis. So you can certainly expand this to a multi-party collaboration. And if you'd like, you can also have an entity resolution provider bring their match tables into a clean room so you can join disparate data sets. So there's a lot of interesting use cases and architectures that you can do, but the goal is that you're not moving the data out, you have the right protections in place to protect the sensitive information. And you can do all this directly in BigQuery. Well, we actually had a preview for BigQuery data cleanrooms for some of our select customers, and L'Oreal actually used BigQuery cleanrooms for many of their marketing use cases. And they found a lot of success with using BigQuery cleanrooms for their use cases, so they can improve their retargeting for marketers and also work directly with the brands that they're collaborating with and provide this end-to-end functionality. One of the most important things for a lot of brands is having that sort of closed-loop measurement and being able to understand the ROI for the dollars that they're spending for their campaigns that they're running. So this is really helping L'Oreal succeed with providing those insights back to the brands that they're working with. And we realized that with cleanrooms, we can't be successful alone. So what we're doing is that we're collaborating with many of our partners. So for identity resolution or entity resolution, we're working with LiveRamp and TransUnion, so they can provide you the ability to join disparate data sets directly in BigQuery. We're also working with Tumult Labs to be able to do more advanced differential privacy or anonymization against your data. And lastly, we're working with data cleanroom orchestrators to be able to orchestrate cleanrooms on behalf of others and be a neutral third party in the context of creating a cleanroom. And for that, we have Habu, and Roopak Gupta is going to give you a little bit of insights on how Habu has built their functionality and their experiences on top of BigQuery data cleanrooms. So give it up for Roopak Gupta.
Thank you, Nikhil. Before we start and talk about Habu, I would love to hear from you guys. Before coming into this room, how many of you have dabbled with clean rooms, know a little bit about clean rooms, have done something with clean rooms? Awesome. That's a great set. So by the end of this session, it won't be just the data scientists, the data engineers, even the savvy business users among you will be amazed by the power of clean rooms. Imagine being able to join hands with your partners with no movement of data, all done in a privacy-safe manner. So let me introduce you to Habu. Habu is a data cleanroom software company. It has been, we are headquartered in San Francisco. We do this across a whole bunch of different cloud providers and all, and today we are going to talk about BigQuery. Habu is scalable, it's simple, and it's smart. So how do we do this exactly? So there are 3 key pillars to it. If you look at the bottom, it's connect. What is connect? Connect, we connect directly to your data. Gone are the days when you have to send files over. Gone are the days when you have to figure out what format. Is it Parquet? Is it CSV? Is it gzip? All those days are gone. We connect directly to your data. And then comes comply. Look, with data, rules are really important. With Habu, workflows happen with the right governance, the right permissions, and the right approvals. And finally, collaborate. This is where advanced collaboration is a breeze because we have automated workflows, we have pre-built analysis, we have query templates, which is ready to roll out insights and business outcomes. So we all know the power of BigQuery. Nikhil already talked about a whole bunch of things that BigQuery can do. If you think about BigQuery with Habu, it takes collaborative intelligence to the next level. I would say it's like BigQuery on steroids. Now, why do businesses actually use the combination, the really powerful combination of Habu and BigQuery? First, it's a time to value. If you're looking for automated workflows, pre-built analysis, scalability, where clean room can be provisioned across many partners, Habu delivers all of it. I would say it's like a Swiss knife of data collaboration. Now, on top of that, Habu gets along flawlessly with different tech stacks. It's the example that I give is it's like a cool kid who goes to a party and actually can mingle with any crowd at the party. Because remember one thing, you have chosen your stack, your partners have chosen their stack. But just because you may have chosen different technology does not mean that as a business, you should not be able to collaborate. And then finally, Habu throws the party for data and product teams, but it also rolls out the red carpet for the business teams. If you're trying to implement use cases, if you're trying to derive insights, if you're thinking about actionable decisions, Habu is there for you. It is a party that none of you want to miss. Now, let me paint a picture with the example that I think Nikhil started with around retail and CPG, and let's put a pin on the party because we'll get back to it. So, what we have seen with our clients and partners, there are three key things that they do with clean rooms. One is around planning, optimization, and measurement. Only by querying the full user level data with the right privacy and governance controls on top of that, only then companies can effectively plan, optimize, and measure. Next, moving beyond insights, companies are also trying to take it to the next level and activation. They want to do activation in addressable media channels. And then finally, more than SQL, think about proprietary code. Think about when you're collaborating, how can you engage, enrich your data, enrich the partner's data, enrich the combined data using proprietary code. Now, here's an inside peek into Habu's operation. Remember we talked about a party that you all want to join, and hopefully you'll join. This is where, look, if you're for data engineers, data scientists, wherever there's data, there's a party. But I want everyone, including the business users, the data analysts, everyone to come to this party. So let's see how this goes. So this is where in Habu the magic begins. So right now we are in a pre-planning phase. We are planning a data party. So there are data connections. Here you connect to your data, whether it's your BigQuery table, whether it's authorized views, whether it's GCS locations, what have you. This is where you connect to the data. Now, once you have connected to the data, this is now you're setting a stage for the clean room. This is where you're setting, I'm going to create a BigQuery clean room, and now you are setting some restrictions on it. So this is where you said, I'm going to put differential privacy controls over it, which includes noise and K-mean enforcement. This ensures that no individual level data is exposed ever out of this clean room. Now, next what you do is you have row and column level filtering. This is where you, as a data owner, tell us what are the rows and the columns that you want to bring into the clean room. This gives you total control over that data that goes into the analysis. Now the stage is set. It's time for some invitations to be sent. You can extend an invitation to now your collaborator with a very simple email workflow. Remember, this can be a multi-party clean room, and you can have many partners, and this will, in this case, you can have many collaborators to this clean room. Now, invites are out, collaborators are coming in, they are managing their own data sets. Remember, they are putting the same restrictions that you put in through row and column level filtering, through analysis rules, all is happening. Now, each analysis and pre-built templates now becomes a collaborative effort. This is with everyone bringing their data sets to the table, with the restrictions that they had put in. Imagine this in a party scenario, it's like a music where you are collaborating with someone. I love Bollywood, for example, music. I know Nikhil loves hip hop. So it's a collaboration of all the different music types, and we know in this collaboration party, both Bollywood and hip hop will be a hit. So this is where you are making that connection. Now, the stage is set, the lights are bright, music is on, and now it's time for the information to flow. This is where you can execute these questions, you can schedule them, the results start pouring in, and you can also access all of this via APIs. But there are two personas that we talked about. One was the data and product team. We haven't forgotten about them. Data and product team can create their own templates. They can distribute them all across. So we have a question builder where you can write your own SQL, or you can write your own code. We also have a cool assistant. We have to talk about Gen AI. This is a cool assistant, a Gen AI assistant that actually is like a co-pilot for you. For the data and product teams, it helps you write the SQL, improve your SQL, and on top of that, it also helps you explain the SQL to your collaborators. You can explain it at different levels. You can explain to a business user. You can also explain to a more technical user. All that is available in the Habu platform. And then finally, we have not forgotten about our business users. Habu comes equipped with a BI tool. We have dashboards, there are KPI settings, there are alert configurations, and we also have a chat module which allows you to ask questions to your data, come to conclusions, ask next questions, come up with KPIs, come up with alerts. All that can be done with Habu. It's like giving the keys of the kingdom to your business users with the right restrictions in place. Awesome. So as this session wraps up, I would leave you all with the thought that we started with. Regardless of what role you play, whether it is a data scientist, data engineer, whether you're a business user, Clean Room offers you a chance to enrich your data with partners' data in a privacy-safe manner. No movement of data required, seamless, efficient collaboration. Thank you. With that, I'll pass it on to Nikhil.
Thank you, Roopak. That was wonderful. And it just goes to show that how data orchestrators like Habu and partners that have built amazing experiences on top of BigQuery. And it's very seamless, especially if you're, again, trying to go to market very quickly and make your clean room offering available within your BigQuery. So one thing I want to wrap up is essentially help you answer the question of why choose Google Cloud for data clean rooms? Well, first of all, as I mentioned before, we were the first to market for data clean rooms with Ads Data Hub. And we've built a lot of the technology for Ads Data Hub on top of BigQuery. And what we're doing now is making that technology available for you to use in your own use case. The second thing is that we have the best-in-class tools to protect your sensitive data and also govern the data directly in BigQuery. And all of this is available in the Google Data and AI platform. You also get access to the complete ecosystem. As we talked about before, we have Analytics Hub that has hundreds of data providers that have thousands of data sets that you have access to. So you can enrich your data and combine it and join it to get new insights and innovation for your organization. And last but not least, we are the price performance leader. So I talked about the unique capabilities of BigQuery to separate out storage and compute. Again, this is really useful as you're trying to scale out and make clean rooms available for your partners. And it really gives you the ability to be flexible with how your data is being used in the context of not only your internal analysis, but also in the context of clean rooms. So as we come to a wrap, I encourage you, now that we are in public preview, to go try out BigQuery Data Clean Rooms directly in your console. Roopak and I will be here to answer any questions that you have, but thank you all for joining.